letter. A position has been budgeted for that in the 2018 budget, as the contract had not been agreed upon or settled at the conclusion of 2017 yet. So that would be already budgeted for the township. Also, in addition, the contract has been completed with the arbitration award. And with that award being completed and received on January 29th of 2018, the pay rate for the calendar year 2017, which was concluded, was to be at 2.75% pay rates. That was submitted for pay for this pay that's ending, but according to the payroll individuals, that was denied for some reason. And with that award being for hours worked last calendar year of 2017, I just wanted to know why that was denied, so I may explain that to our other officers.
I also would like to know why it's denied.
No, it hasn't been denied. We're working on the final wording of the contract, which I understand was circulated by Mr. DeLuca's office.
Okay.
Donato has looked at it, Lawrence has looked at it. I think it's ready to be signed. But I also mentioned to Martha, because she contacted me when this claim was made, that there may very well be some credits that the township's entitled to based upon this award. And I said that you need to consult with Mr. Donato before you write the check for the 2.75 increase to see if the township is entitled to any credits based on that award.
Well, there wouldn't have been credits for 2017.
Well, for overtime there would have that wasn't worked, and possibly for health care contributions.
Well, the health care contribution starts after the award.
That's an issue.
Well, not according to Mr. Donato and Mr. DeLuca.
No?
Because I got their emails saying that everything into a contract is fine.
The most recent email I received from Mr. Donato said otherwise. So we need to look at it, and we'll look at if the township believes they're entitled to any credits, it'll get worked out.
Okay, I just wanted to know one, that's all.
Ron, can I just thank you? Could you go ahead and, you're talking about subs, could you advertise more?
We can
Yeah, I want to
advertise
do
again,
that.
sure.
I'd like to have it done. We did it through that, I forget, not on the newspaper, but what else did we have? There was something else.
Advertising?
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, for the office.
The only one I know of
Was it Observer?
Public, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Has the union ratified this? No, is that right? It'll be what I'm gathering here.
The union's labor negotiators signed the award. Once the award is signed, and I think that's been circulated, the contract has to be revised to insert those new changes. Mr. DeLuca's office took it upon themselves to type the new contract. It's been given to Mr. Bernardo. It's my understanding there's one paragraph
Correct, yes.
that it was confusing, and they're changing that, and then that will be signed. But the award itself was signed by everybody, the neutral arbitrator, township arbitrator, and the union arbitrator.
And the Board of Supervisors is going to have to take no further action?
No.
Okay, we're done. Okay.
Over.
All right, so once this language is,
Then they get the,
you will let the Secretary Treasurer know that these men can be paid.
And if
Their
any
money.
credits. And if any credits.
Okay, anything comes back out to the
And then
lodge,
DeLuca and Bernardo may have to get involved again, if they question some of these credits.
I did read the section that he wanted deleted, which was a redundant paragraph, basically, because it was addressed
Yeah.
2 or 3 paragraphs prior. Right.
All right.
code enforcement? Officer report? Oh, I'm sorry, I had to skip you all the time, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna sit right up in the middle.
Yeah, just stand right here.
Okay, for the month of January 2018, we had 40 calls. We had 4 building or chimney fires, 1 vehicle fire, 9 medical calls, 8 motor vehicle accidents, 1 power line down, 7 public service, and 40 false alarms. 10 false alarms.
Getting bad as me.
Average 5 men per call. And again, reminder, March 10th, we're having our gun bash at the fire hall. And we tickets left to anybody that's interested. I have tickets in my vehicle if anyone wants. Thank you.
My turn? All right. January to today, we had a total of 18 new complaints that were investigated that were valid. Items of interest would be 690 Cleveland Road, Will Sanders property. It's one that had a trailer and a bunch of junk on it. He did remove the trailer and the deck and most of the junk, but there's been stuff he's been asking to remove for a couple months now. He's now not returning our phone calls. We filed a citation. We have 700 Cleveland Road. We received a complaint this week. It's right next to the Will Sanders property. It's a rental property. We worked with the owner a couple times over the last 2 years when trash would pile up. It seems like, I don't know if it's when tenants changed, but it would go from just trash to a couch and some TVs and a buffet. We'd speak with the owner, and he'd get it cleaned up within a couple of days. We got a call this week from one of the residents, went up again to the local, sure enough, same thing. Attempted to contact the owner, didn't get a call back. We filed a citation on that. And finally, two more. 1059 South Main, it's a couple doors down from the farm, where they have the weddings. Thank you, Destiny Farm. Gentleman that owns it's named Robert Gregg. We cited Mr. Gregg. We sent a notice and cited Mr. Gregg for his grass not being cut last spring. He paid the fine, pled guilty, never cut the grass. We sent him another notice that we were going to file daily citations as per the ordinance. Never got a call, so we started doing that. Mass filed approximately 50 citations, and then we stopped because at that point it's a waste of township resources. They got Mr. Gregg's attention, pled not guilty to all of them. We had our court date back on the 1st of February. Mr. Gregg didn't show up. I stopped at the property. We requested that Judge Redlinger continue it. Our concern, we don't know Mr. Gregg. We don't know if he's elderly, if he's sick leave, what's going on. It's really weird to have no contact at all. On the way back from court, we stopped at the house and I knocked on the door and there was no answer. We contacted the Agency on Aging and Adult Protective Services to see if they could just do a well visit, a well check. Haven't heard back from them. So we're still working on that one. And then finally, 151 Baltimore, I believe it is. Yes, 151 Baltimore. The owner passed away beginning of last year. We were working with him on getting the property cleaned up. Someone's moved into the house. We're not sure who it is. It's still showing ownership under the old owner. We're assuming it's his son, possibly. We sent a couple notices that about the property. It's still got junk all over it. They did cut the grass last year, but the junk's piling up. We just got a shed in the backyard that's dilapidated. We're in a tough place because we can't file a citation because it'll go against the owner who's deceased. We're going to try a couple more postings, and if we don't get any traction over the next couple of months, we're going to be approaching you at a meeting about having the township. We'll post it and have the township go and clean it up and move the property. Yeah.
Do you know that a estate has been opened
Yeah, that's one.
for the decedent?
I don't know that. How?
If you give my office the name, we can check to see
Okay,
if the estate.
I'll do that.
And then you would contact the executive.
Okay, we can do that. And that's it. Any questions for me? All right. Thank you very much.
I'm going to recommend that you appoint the township manager as the administrator over heart and lung requests. She just received a request from Officer Kavanaugh to be placed on the heart and lung program for the township. He did that with a letter to the township, and I talked to Mrs. Ward about that. Heart and lung applies for active police officers, firemen, and it permits them to obtain full benefits. If they are injured on the job, they cannot do their job because of that injury, and if it is temporary. Those are the requirements that an applicant must meet in order to receive heart and lung benefits. I believe more information is needed than the letter that was submitted, and a determination needs to be made by the administrator identified by the township. That administrator would make a recommendation that yes, this qualifies, we're going to put him on. No, it doesn't qualify, and then that applicant has the opportunity to appeal the decision of the administrator to the governing body, which is the Board of Supervisors. at which time we would conduct a hearing with a legal stenographer. And a decision would then be made by the board. The appeal of that decision would be under local agency law to the Court of Common Pleas. So the first step is you need to identify an administrator for the township to receive these applications, to ask the appropriate questions, to look at the documents that are submitted, and then make a determination and recommendation. But there is an open heart and lung application that we've got to deal with.
How have we done it in the past?
Since I've been here, we've never received a heart and lung application.
1937.
But I think we had it.
You may have, but
I have. I never heard of it. I looked it online.
you have to have an administrator, because the appeal of the administrator's decision is to the three of you, so the three of you can't be administrators.
No.
All right, as long as the Board of Supervisors is in the end,
Well, in the end,
Sure,
she'll make a recommendation to either deny it or to approve it, and you have to pass on that.
all right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Vote on it?
Ron Jenko,
Yes.
Sylvia Passalego, Bob Sapp.
Yes.
Martha, I'll get with you, because we need to send a letter identifying the questions and the additional proof that's needed
We had a lot of those
for you
city-
to analyze it.
city council.
Derek,
If I may.
yeah, he's back to work now. Okay, this happened in December,
Okay,
and he was on workers' comp up till this past Sunday,
okay.
and he got his workers' comp. He has all his doctor's things submitted that he had to submit for workers' comp.
So he's withdrawing the heart and lung then? Can't get both.
Well, that's what we don't know.
Absolutely, you can't get both.
Because from what I read, that if heart and lung was granted, that you get 100% as opposed to workers' comp.
Until
The
workers' comp is
would
awarded.
be-
And then heart and lung gets reimbursed once that payment comes in.
Oh, I read it different. I read it that workers' comp got reimbursed as opposed to that.
So you
So
can get-
heart and lung is first.
Yeah, because sometimes it takes a year, 2 years for workers' comp. If the insurance company is contesting it, you could go for a long time without an award. And so heart and lung exists so that you don't have all that lost wage going
So
on.
heart and lung is the very first step when you're hurt.
It's the temporary.
Okay, well, I wanted to clear that up because you're talking like it was going forward and.
Well, we
he's
just got the
actually
letter
passed-
yesterday.
Well, that's because he wasn't sure of how it worked, first things first, second things second, you know.
Well, his letter
Because we
said he had
hadn't
an
done
attorney. He didn't say who his attorney was.
that. Okay, well, I
But
don't
he's-
know, but all I wanted to let you know was that it's not moving because he did return to work Sunday.
Okay, and with no restrictions.
Correct.
Did he have a return to work slip from his doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
He was off December, he had a surgery in, that was December. And he was off for 6 weeks,
Okay.
whatever that time frame is. But he did return to work, he had a return to work slip. But
And did
maybe
you-
his process was just backwards as far as,
Did you do a report, an accident report? Is there one on
he
record,
filled
on
out an
file?
officer injury report.
There's
yes.
there's one on file?
Yes.
Okay. What did he injure?
His knee, his meniscus and his knee.
And so he had that surgically repaired, and now he's been released
Yes.
for full duty with no restrictions?
Yes. But I wanted just to make sure you knew that. I was in December.
Okay.
He was off January up to this past Sunday. I didn't want you to think that it's starting now and he's gonna be off.
Okay, so he's back to work.
Okay, so.
Would you talk to him, because we need him to, give us a letter withdrawing that request, or asking more questions, or having his attorney get in touch with me?
Okay.
Because we have an
Well, I
open.
didn't realize he had an attorney, so I'll just go that, I'll try to explain it as best I can.
Okay.
Of that process and then just have him do that.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Let's get it resolved. I'm glad he's back to work. I know from what you told me, he's been climbing the walls at home. So he wanted to come back to work. Okay.
And if his process was just backward, that's fine. I'll let him know and then they can contact you.
Okay.
Welcome to North Franklin.
Next item, and this was considered by the planning commission, and it's the issue of off-duty personal use commercial vehicles being part of one's property in an R2 district. That issue has come up over and over again. In fact, we had a court challenge that issue right now that we're in the middle of defending. And this matter was discussed by the Planning Commission maybe in their last 2 meetings at least. And they've come up with a recommendation. Is that right, Michael?
Yes, they did, at January's meeting.
All right, what's that recommendation?
The planning commission made a recommendation that the township amend the zoning ordinance for residential districts to allow up to 2 commercial, personal use vehicles at a residential, per residence, I guess, is essentially what they're recommending.
And that you provided me with a written definition.
That's what they came up
That
with.
they came up with.
But the-
Okay. I'm gonna read this for the board.
Excuse me, can I just ask a question? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What exactly are we discussing? I'm unsure.
Permission to park commercial vehicles in one's driveway in your.
What
in a-
commercial,
in-
anybody's commercial
In R2,
vehicles?
I'll read what they recommended, okay? I'll read
Well, I
what.
just wanted to know what, you said it first, I'm sorry.
Okay. This is entitled, and this would be an accessory use amendment to the R2 section of the zoning ordinance. It would be entitled Off-Duty Personal Use Commercial Vehicle Means and Includes, but is not limited to vehicles with the following types of registrations: commercial, contractor, omnibus, used car dealer, and school bus. For the purposes of this chapter, any vehicle containing advertising matter intending to promote the interest of any business or any vehicle used in connection with the business, whether or not said vehicle is registered as a commercial vehicle with the Pennsylvania Division of Motor Vehicles, is considered a commercial vehicle. This shall also include any type of dump truck and/or trailer used for transporting goods, equipment, and/or passengers for compensation, including commodities, merchandise, produce, freight, animals, or passengers for hire. This shall only apply to commercial vehicles, including trailers, that do not exceed 25 feet in length and 12 feet in height, being used for off-duty purposes such as commuting to and from work. For purposes of this definition, a connected trailer and commercial vehicle shall count as one vehicle. Standalone trailers shall count individually. No additional commercial vehicles are permitted in the R1 and R2 zoning districts unless located within a completely enclosed building. And then there are exceptions that they've identified. Now, another thing that the Planning Commission did is it had Jared make a tour of the township to see potentially how many commercial vehicles there were on various properties, and I believe you came up with 68 properties?
Yeah, there were 68 individual properties with commercial vehicles, and I looked at everything, so I wasn't sure what the definition was going to be. So anything, trailer with 2 axles or more, something, not a garden trailer. Anything towed behind, any equipment, anything with more than a pickup truck bed, so utility truck, crane truck, potato chip truck, anything that would obviously be commercial. What I didn't count, what I think falls under that, is after the meeting, or during the meeting we discussed it, would be things like real estate agent cars that are lettered. Technically, they're commercial vehicles. They would fall under that. So that's not included in there. This is more truck type, obvious truck type stuff. It was over a couple days' time. I tried to go later in the afternoon after people would get home, between 3 and 5.
So what would a person be allowed to have exactly on their property?
People home from work during the day.
What would they be allowed in?
Just what we're talking about, any type of,
No, I own a, okay, let's say, well, let's use Trevor as an example. What would he be allowed to have on his property?
2 commercial vehicles
that are not enclosed.
that are not
That are
enclosed.
not enclosed. He could have a dump truck and a trailer.
Yeah.
We have a lot of them.
Yeah.
A dump truck and a trailer on
That's
his
2
property.
vehicles. That
But
are not
if he has a
enclosed
start, if he has a start line, it's enclosed, that's
in
fine.
the building.
Or you have to, typical zoning, just like you're having a zoning hearing board for a waiver, if someone were applying to have more, they would either have to apply for an in-home based business, some type of conditional or permitted use that would fall into those residential districts, or they'd have to go through the zoning hearing board and attempt to get a waiver or a special exception.
Yeah, anything more than this, they would have to have a hearing.
We've been discussing this for quite a while. And, I think when you read that, just one thing that stuck out to me. You mentioned just the R2.
R1 and R2.
R2. There's an R3 also.
So you're recommending R3 be included?
Yes, it's residential.
That's residential.
Right, the way this would work is, Planning Commission has made this recommendation. And a lot of thought has gone into it, as well as investigation of potential offending properties, if you were strictly going to enforce this as a prohibition. We are in the final stages of finalizing the amended zoning ordinance, as Mrs. Yeagle pointed out. They've been working on that for almost 2 years. And what you're going to have is a final ordinance that's going to be codified that will have, I think, 4 areas of main change, if you will. The airport area, you're going to have an oil and gas ordinance in your zoning ordinance for the first time. But you're also going to have identified shared uses, and that maybe is the most important benefit of involving yourself in a joint zoning project, because under the exclusionary zoning law, you have to provide for every use, no matter how bad it is. And when you share zoning ordinance uses, we can say all the heavy